Waking up once to use the bathroom is annoying, but waking up twice is frustrating, and three times means you aren't really sleeping at all. You just end up dragging yourself through the next day half awake while wondering if this is simply how life is going to be from now on. It doesn't have to be that way. There is a collection of old remedies that grandmothers and great aunts used to pass around the kitchen table for this exact problem. These aren't fancy or expensive solutions, but they are simple things that regular people figured out long before there was a pill for every little thing. The strangest one of all sounds like something someone just made up, and it involves nothing more than a jar of Vicks VapoRub and a pair of cotton socks. Even though it sounds odd, it keeps working for the people who try it, even when they don't believe it will. I'm going to walk you through 5 things you can try starting tonight, and most of them use items you probably already have sitting in your house. Let's start with the one that sounds the most unbelievable. The Vicks on feet trick. Here is exactly what you do to get started. Right before you climb into bed, take a small dab of regular Vicks VapoRub from that classic blue jar and rub a thin layer across the soles of both feet. You don't need a thick or goopy coat because just enough to feel it on the skin will do the trick. Once you have it on, pull on a pair of cotton socks and go to sleep. That is the whole process. Now, you are probably thinking the same thing everyone thinks when they first hear about this. What do my feet have to do with my bladder? The answer isn't immediately obvious, and I'm not going to pretend there is a mountain of medical studies backing this up. This is old folk knowledge, which is the kind of thing people tried because someone told them to, and they kept doing it because it actually worked. However, there is a way to think about this method that makes a lot of sense. Your feet are packed with nerve endings, and they actually have way more than most other parts of your body. When you put something as strong as Vicks on them, the menthol and camphor create an intense, cooling sensation that your nervous system simply cannot ignore. This creates a big, loud signal firing up from your feet into your spinal cord and brain. While your nervous system is busy processing that cooling tingle, it seems to pay less attention to the quieter signals coming from your bladder, so the urge to pee just doesn't cut through as strongly. Think of it like this. If you have a headache and someone steps on your toe, you stop noticing the headache for a minute because the bigger sensation wins. The menthol on your feet might work the same way by giving your bladder signals some competition while you sleep. There is also something else happening here. Menthol rubs have been used for generations to settle restless bodies at night, and parents often rub it on a child's chest when they are sick. They do this for congestion, but they also do it because it seems to calm the child down enough to sleep. That same calming effect might help an irritable bladder relax instead of waking you up every few hours. Some people notice a difference the very first night, but for others, it takes 3 or 4 nights before their body finally gets the message. If you don't feel it right away, give it a few tries before you decide it doesn't work for you. One thing people always ask is why we use the feet and not the chest, especially since that is where we normally put this stuff. The soles of your feet absorb things differently than the skin on your chest does, and there is a practical reason too. Putting Vicks on your feet keeps the strong smell far away from your nose while you are trying to sleep, and the socks keep the ointment from getting all over your sheets. And make sure you stick with the original Vicks in the blue jar. Do not use the lemon or the lavender versions. The plain formula is what people have been using for this trick for decades, and that is the specific one all the success stories come from. That one is the showstopper that people tell their friends about because it sounds too weird to be true. But this next one fixes the real root cause for a whole lot of people, and most of them have no idea it is even happening. Leg elevation before bed. Think about what happens inside your body every day while you go about your business. Gravity is constantly pulling fluid down into your lower half, and it happens whether you are standing at the kitchen counter or sitting at a desk for hours. All day long, fluid quietly pools in your lower legs and ankles without you even noticing it. You might see the evidence at the end of the day when your socks leave a deep dent in your skin or your shoes feel tighter than they did when you first put them on. Everything changes the moment you finally lie down to sleep. When your body goes horizontal, all that pooled fluid has nowhere to go except back into your bloodstream for processing. Your kidneys suddenly receive a massive delivery of extra fluid right when you are trying to rest. So they do exactly what they were designed to do. They filter that liquid out and send it straight to your bladder, which means your bladder wakes you up at 2 in the morning to deal with fluid that was sitting in your ankles 6 hours earlier. The fix for this is so simple it almost feels like you are cheating the system. You just need to give your body a chance to process that fluid before you actually go to sleep instead of during your rest. To make this work, find a comfortable spot about 30 to 45 minutes before your bedtime and put your legs up above the level of your heart. A recliner is a perfect tool for this, but you can also lie on the floor with your calves resting on the couch seat. Even propping your feet up on a stack of pillows while you lie in bed works just fine, as long as your ankles stay higher than your chest. Try to stay in that position for a solid half hour while you read a book or watch the end of a show. This gives your kidneys a massive head start on filtering that fluid while you are still awake and moving around. You will probably feel the urge to use the bathroom once or twice during this window, which is exactly what you want to happen. It is much better to get up from the couch at 10:30 than to have your sleep interrupted at 2 in the morning. The timing of this habit matters much more than most people realize. If you only sleep with your legs elevated, your body is still processing that fluid while you are unconscious, and you will still wake up to pee. The secret is doing the elevation before you close your eyes for the night so your body can flush the pipes while you are still awake. This strategy works incredibly well for anyone who notices puffy ankles at the end of the day or people who spend long hours sitting at a desk. It is also great for drivers or anyone who has had knee or hip trouble that makes it harder to move around. The best part is that it costs absolutely nothing because there are no supplements to buy and no special equipment needed. You just need 30 minutes with your feet up before you turn out the light. Now, here is one more habit that seems too obvious, but most people still manage to get it wrong. The 3-hour rule. The rule itself is very simple to understand. You should have nothing to drink for 3 full hours before you climb into bed, and that includes water, coffee, or any other liquid. But here is where people usually slip up, because liquid does not just mean what you pour out of a glass. Soup is a liquid, and ice cream melts into a liquid the very moment it hits your stomach. Watermelon, grapes, and oranges all turn into fluid that your kidneys have to process, and even something like yogurt counts toward your total. If it is wet when you swallow it, your bladder is going to have to deal with it eventually. You are going to have to deal with the consequences later, so try to finish that evening bowl of soup before 7 and skip the late night handful of grapes. Making that one small change makes a much bigger difference than you might think. And while that tip is about what you should not put into your body, this next one focuses on what you should, and it comes from old European kitchen wisdom that most people have never heard of. Pumpkin seed oil. Pumpkin seed oil has served as a reliable bladder remedy in parts of Germany and Austria for a very long time. It is not used in a pharmaceutical way, but more like how your grandmother kept a bottle of something dark green in the pantry and told you to take a spoonful when your body was not cooperating. The oil itself is thick and almost blackish green, and the taste is nutty and earthy, which is nothing like what you would expect. The idea behind using it is actually pretty straightforward because pumpkin seeds contain compounds that seem to strengthen the muscles around the bladder and the pelvic floor. When those muscles are weak or easily irritated, the bladder gets twitchy and sends a signal that it is full when it is only half full. This is why you find yourself stumbling to the bathroom at 3 in the morning for no good reason, and the oil helps settle that twitchiness over time. To try this, take 1 teaspoon with your dinner. You can swallow it straight off the spoon if you do not mind the taste, or you can stir it into soup, drizzle it over roasted vegetables, or mix it into a salad dressing. Heat breaks down some of the beneficial compounds, so do not cook with the oil and instead just add it to food that is already on your plate. If you would rather chew your food than swallow oil, a small handful of plain pumpkin seeds works just as well. You want to avoid the salted, roasted ones from the snack aisle and look for raw or lightly toasted seeds instead. These contain the same compounds, but they just offer a different way to get them into your system, and this remedy is not an instant fix that will work tonight to help you sleep through until morning. The benefits build slowly, usually over 2 or 3 weeks of taking it every day, because the bladder does not strengthen overnight any more than a weak arm does. However, people who stick with the routine often notice those nighttime trips getting fewer and further between. There is another reason pumpkin seed oil shows up in old remedy books, especially for men. It has a long history in traditional prostate support, and an enlarged prostate pressing on the bladder is one of the biggest reasons older men wake up to pee. The oil addresses both sides of the problem at once by calming the bladder and supporting the gland that sits right next to it. Remember that this is food and not medicine, so it works gently and gradually, the way food-based remedies tend to do. Nobody is claiming it will fix a serious medical condition overnight, but for a bladder that is just a little too eager to wake you up, it is one of those quiet old remedies that keeps getting passed down because it keeps helping people. Now let's look at one more before we wrap up, and this one helps relax the whole system. Magnesium for bladder calm. Here is something most people do not think about very often. Your bladder is a muscle that squeezes to push urine out and relaxes to hold urine in. Just like any other muscle in your body, it can get tight, twitchy, and irritable when something is out of balance. Magnesium is the specific mineral your body uses to tell muscles to relax. Every time a muscle needs to let go and stop contracting, magnesium steps in to make that happen. When your levels are low, muscles stay tighter than they should, which is why calves cramp up at night or eyelids twitch for no reason. Your bladder is just a hollow muscle doing a holding job all night long, and when it gets irritable, it sends the full signal before it is actually full, giving your body A little more magnesium before bed can settle that twitchiness. The simplest way to do this is to eat a small handful of almonds about an hour before you turn in for the night. Almonds pack a decent amount of magnesium in a form your body absorbs well, and a handful of 10 or 12 nuts chewed slowly is all you really need. If almonds are not your thing, you can use magnesium lotion rubbed into your calves and thighs instead. The skin absorbs the mineral right into the muscles where you need it most, and the act of rubbing it in is calming on its own. Some people prefer an Epsom saltfoot soak before bed, which gives you magnesium through the skin while the warmth of the water relaxes everything at once. Any of these methods get the mineral into your system without you having to swallow a pill. Magnesium also improves your overall sleep quality and not just bladder calm. It helps your brain shift into deeper sleep stages and keeps you there longer, which means you are less likely to wake up even if your bladder does send a signal. The deeper you sleep, the less a half-full bladder is going to bother you. There is one word of caution to keep in mind. High-dose magnesium supplements can cause loose stools or stomach upset, and anyone with kidney problems needs to be careful with extra magnesium, since the kidneys are responsible for processing it. A handful of almonds or a foot soak is gentle enough for most people, but if you are thinking about a strong supplement, you should run it past your doctor first. This pairs well with the other remedies because it is not trying to do the same thing as the others. The leg elevation handles fluid buildup, and the 3-hour rule stops new liquid from coming in, while the pumpkin seed oil strengthens the muscles over time. The magnesium just tells everything to relax and stop being so jumpy. Those are the 5 remedies, but before you go, there is something important to mention. Waking up to use the bathroom several times a night is definitely annoying. Sometimes it points to something that needs a doctor's attention. Issues like a urinary tract infection, blood sugar problems, or prostate concerns won't always resolve with home remedies alone. So if you've tried these tips for 2 weeks without any change, please get it checked out. If you are living with diabetes, you need to inspect your feet very carefully before putting Vicks or any kind of rub on them. Small cracks or sores that you might not even feel can turn into much bigger problems when they are covered by a thick layer of menthol ointment. Pregnant women and anyone with sensitive skin should also do a small patch test first, because that cooling sensation can quickly turn into a burning feeling on reactive skin. For those of you with kidney disease, it is very important to talk to your doctor before you start adding magnesium or changing how much water you drink. These are just simple things to keep in mind to make sure you stay safe while trying something new. Now you have 5 different things you can try starting as early as tonight. You can use Vicks on your feet with cotton socks, or try elevating your legs for 30 minutes before bed to help with fluid. Remember to stop drinking liquids in that 3-hour window before sleep, and consider adding a teaspoon of pumpkin seed oil to your dinner. Finally, you can get a little extra magnesium from a few almonds or a relaxing foot soak before you turn in for the night. You really don't need to do all 5 of these at the same time to see results. Just pick 2 that feel easy for you and start there, because consistency always beats perfection when you're using natural remedies. Try them out for a full week and see if your nights start to feel a little more restful. Let me know down in the comments which one you decided to try and if it helped you get more sleep. If you want more old-school remedies that won't cost you a fortune, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next video.